Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. We're diving into a story that will completely change the way you look at these small copper-plated pieces of metal. Because hidden among millions of ordinary coins released into circulation in the United Kingdom is one particular year, one particular design, and one particular variety that has stunned collectors around the world. And that coin is the United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2 pence from the year 2008, one of the most talked about, most misunderstood, and most surprisingly valuable small denomination coins ever produced in modern British minting history. To truly understand why the 2008 2 pence is so special, we need to take a step back to the late 2000s. A time when the Royal Mint was preparing to shake up something that had remained unchanged for decades: the designs on British coinage. Since decimalisation in 1971, the 2 pence coin had featured the familiar badge of the Prince of Wales, a plume of 3 feathers inside a coronet, along with the classic inscription, "Ich diene," meaning, "I serve." For over 35 years, the reverse design remained loyal to this iconic look. By the early 2000s, however, the United Kingdom was ready for something fresh, something symbolic, something modern. In 2008, the Royal Mint launched a brand new and extremely bold redesign for the majority of UK coins, introducing what is known today as the Royal Shield of Arms series. Rather than featuring standalone emblems, the coins were redesigned so that, when placed together, they formed the complete image of the Royal Shield. Each coin carried one segment of the shield, turning everyday change into pieces of a much larger puzzle. And on the new 2008 2 pence coin, the assigned section was the lower left part of the Royal Shield, a cross-hatched area representing part of the shield's internal structure. It was an ambitious and clever concept, one that collectors immediately noticed. But this transition year, 2008, didn't just introduce a new design. It also accidentally introduced one of the most fascinating minting anomalies of the 21st century. Because during the production shift, a mix-up occurred at the Royal Mint that would change everything. In the early months of 2008, before the new shield designs were fully implemented, a small but unknown number of 2 pence coins were mistakenly struck using the old reverse design from the 1971 to 2007 series. That meant that instead of featuring the new modern shield segment, these era coins carried the traditional badge of the Prince of Wales. And that single mistake turned a coin worth just 2 pennies into a numismatic treasure. But what makes this even more exciting is that these era coins were not immediately identified. They slipped quietly into bags of circulated currency and were distributed across the United Kingdom without fanfare. For months, perhaps years, people spent them unknowingly. Some fell to the bottom of drawers, others ended up in jars full of mixed coins, others were handled dozens of times in busy shops, cafes, and restaurants. It wasn't until sharp-eyed collectors, searching through their change, spotted the mismatch that word began to spread. And once the news reached the numismatic community, the hunt was on. The first confirmed discoveries were reported by collectors who noticed that their 2008 2 pence coins had the wrong design. Some thought it was a misprint, others believed it was a counterfeit, but slowly the truth came out. The Mint had released genuine 2008 2 pence coins carrying the old reverse. How many escaped into circulation? No one knows for sure. Estimates range from a few thousand to perhaps only a few hundred. But one thing is clear: the rarity of this error made it instantly valuable. To add even more intrigue, the 2008 year also saw changes in metal composition. Earlier 2 pence coins were made with bronze, but beginning in 1992 the Royal Mint transitioned to copper-plated steel, a cheaper and more durable alternative. By 2008, nearly all circulating coins were produced using this steel core. But not every coin was struck consistently. Some 2008 coins have slight variations in color, finish, and strike quality, all due to the minting machinery adjusting to new dies and newly polished plates. These kinds of subtle differences add layers of mystery to an already fascinating coin. And then there is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse. The 2008 2 pence coin features the fourth definitive portrait of the Queen, designed by artist Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait had been used since 1998 and was known for its realistic depiction of Her Majesty's features, stronger, more defined, more mature. The Queen faces right, as is traditional, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, a piece deeply connected to her personal history. The inscription around her portrait reads, Elizabeth II DG Reg FID Def, an abbreviation of Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. Collectors admire this portrait because it captures the Queen during her later reign, a time when she had become one of the most respected and iconic figures of the modern world. Many collectors also appreciate that the year 2008 marks an important transition point, not just in design, but in the visual era of British coinage itself. But what truly elevates the 2008 2p coin to legendary status is the combination of rarity, era potential, and the historical importance of a design change. In numismatics, transitional years always attract special attention. When a mint moves from one design to another, tiny mistakes can occur. Dies can be mixed up, blanks can be misallocated, and coins from previous designs can be struck accidentally. These accidents, while unintentional, are treasures for collectors. And that is exactly what happened with the 2008 2p. Imagine finding one of these error coins in your pocket change. You could be holding a coin worth hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of dollars depending on its condition. Some examples found in nearly uncirculated condition have sold for astonishing prices in private collections. And as time passes, these rare coins only become harder to find. Every year, more of them disappear into personal collections, safes, vaults, or sealed storage where they may remain untouched for decades. But the real excitement comes when we consider the long-term value of such a coin. Error coins from transition years often increase dramatically in value, especially when the mint has not released official numbers for how many were mistakenly struck. Uncertainty breeds demand. Scarcity multiplies interest. And collectors, especially those competing at the highest levels, will pay extraordinary amounts to secure specimens that few others can own. And then comes the question everyone wants answered: how expensive can a 2008 2p coin really get? Before we get to the big reveal, imagine standing at a major international coin auction. Top 2, where today we dive deep into one of the most unexpectedly extraordinary coins ever to circulate, the 1999 Elizabeth II 2p. The story of this coin begins long before the year 1999. To understand the importance of this piece, we must journey back through British history, traveling through eras of change, innovation, and monarchs who shaped the very foundations of modern currency. The 2p coin itself traces its roots back to 1971, the year Britain officially transitioned to decimalization. Before that, the British monetary system was a complex network of shillings, farthings, crowns, and pence, confusing for many and outdated for a rapidly modernizing world. Decimal day transformed everything, simplifying the old system and introducing new denominations that were cleaner, streamlined, and future-focused. Among them was the humble 2p, large, copper-colored, and bearing the elegant badge of the Prince of Wales. Fast forward nearly 3 decades later, and the 2p coin had become one of the most familiar pieces in British pockets. But 1999 was no ordinary year. It was a turning point for technology, culture, and world finance. Y2K fears loomed, the millennium approached, and the Royal Mint found itself preparing for the future while still honoring centuries of tradition. Queen Elizabeth II, already over 40 years into her reign, was a symbol of continuity amidst global uncertainty. Her portrait, updated several times over the years, reflected the story of a monarch aging gracefully alongside the evolution of her nation. On the obverse of the 1999 coin shines the portrait crafted by the talented sculptor Raphael Maklauf, offering a dignified and regal profile of Her Majesty, with the tiara adorning her head catching the light in fine, delicate lines. The reverse design remained loyal to the original 1971 artwork by Christopher Ironside, the majestic ostrich feather plume rising from a coronet, signifying the Prince of Wales. Around it, the words, 2p, stood in bold confidence, and below, the small signature date, 1999. marking the turn of the millennium. When you look closely at this coin, the details reveal themselves. Every curve of the feathers, every bead along the edge, and every raised line of Queen Elizabeth's portrait is a testament to the artistry of British minting. But artistry alone isn't what makes a coin extremely rare. Rarity is born from anomalies, small flaws, limited mint runs, unexpected errors, and mysterious internal decisions made within the Royal Mint. And in the case of the 1999 2-pence coin, rarity didn't come from a common error that numismatists regularly seek. It didn't come from a misprint, a double strike, a missing mint mark, or a metal composition mistake. No, the mystery begins with something deeper, something tied to the transition from copper to copper-plated steel. Before 1992, 2-pence coins in the UK were minted in 97% copper, giving them a heavier weight and a deeper reddish tone. But from 1992 onward, the Royal Mint shifted to copper-plated steel due to rising metal costs. Most 1999 2-pence coins were indeed struck in this newer, more cost-effective metal. However, a small number, so few that collectors still debate the exact count, were mistakenly struck using the old copper blanks from years before. These transitional errors are incredibly valuable because they represent moments where minting processes collided, creating unintended combinations. Imagine this: while machines were set for steel blanks, a leftover batch of copper flans slipped through the automated system. They were minted, bagged, and released into circulation before anyone noticed. This wasn't an error that could be spotted from a distance. It required a keen eye, a magnet test, or a deep understanding of the subtle weight difference. For decades, ordinary people spent these coins unknowingly, never realizing they held something extraordinary. Numismatists eventually uncovered the existence of these copper planchet 1999 strikes, and the excitement spread like wildfire through the community. Every collector began searching through jars, rolls, old purses, and forgotten tins in hopes of discovering one of these incredibly rare transitional pieces. And beyond the metal error, there were rumors, persistent whispers, of an extremely limited number of test strikes made for internal evaluation at the Royal Mint, never intended for release. These pieces, according to expert speculation, were struck under perfect pressure, perfect alignment, and perfect finish. Their surfaces gleam with an unreal luster that sets them apart even from high-grade circulation strikes. As more people started recognizing the potential value hidden within this ordinary coin, something remarkable happened. The coin became a legend, not because millions sought it, but because so few ever found it. Those who did often discovered them by accident: a coin that didn't stick to a magnet, one that weighed slightly heavier, or one that had a shine too rich for ordinary steel. Numismatists began submitting their finds to major grading companies like PCGS and NGC, and the results were astonishing. High-grade examples earned MS65, MS67, even MS68 labels, unheard of for circulated British small-denomination coins of this era. Collectors from all over the world became captivated by the story of the 1999 2-pence. Investors started paying attention too, realizing that low-mintage error coins from a major world currency could skyrocket in value as awareness spread. And spread it did. Online forums, auction houses, private collector networks, and even British news outlets began showcasing the coin's surprising rarity. For many, it became a treasure hunt, a dream that one day they might stumble upon a forgotten coin box and discover a true gem worth more than gold. As with all rare coins, condition plays a vital role. Coins kept safely, preserved in folders, jars, or albums had a greater chance of surviving in pristine condition. Those taken from mint sets, another key source of rare variants, were especially sought after. The Royal Mint has been known to occasionally include coins from alternate batches in its annual sets, sometimes unintentionally, and that pattern only fueled the theories about why the 1999 2-pence coin is so elusive. The coin's legacy grew even further when a few extraordinary examples surfaced in Europe, the United States, and the Middle East, traveling far from their origins in the UK. These pieces, whether discovered in boxes of foreign change or purchased unknowingly at flea markets, sparked renewed interest in collectors worldwide. They asked themselves, how could such a simple coin become so globally coveted? The answer lies not just in rarity, but in story, and the 1999 2p coin carries one of the richest stories of any modern British denomination. Top 3. In the soft glow of a collector's lamp, the 2011 2p transforms from a simple denomination into a miniature canvas of British history. As the light hits the coin's surface, the profile of Queen Elizabeth II appears with regal clarity, a portrait crafted by the talented sculptor Ian Rank Broadley. His initials, R.B., lie subtly at the base of the Queen's neck, tiny letters carrying the weight of artistic legacy. This portrait, introduced in 1998, represented a mature monarch, confident and experienced, a queen who had seen Britain evolve dramatically since her coronation. And in 2011, as the nation watched the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton, the information age surged forward, and economic challenges rippled across Europe. This very portrait quietly circulated in millions of pockets, carrying that story with it. Yet, among those millions, collectors discovered something different, something that set a select few specimens apart. At HD Ultra Rare Coins, we often remind viewers that rarity doesn't always shout, sometimes it whispers. And the whisper of rarity in the 2011 2p comes from a combination of striking quality, minting precision, transitional production quirks, and the immense global interest that followed after a few nearly perfect specimens surfaced in private collections. Suddenly, what once seemed ordinary became a mystery waiting to be solved. Before we reach that moment of realization, we must step back briefly into the evolution of the 2p itself. First introduced in 1971 during the nation's shift to decimal currency, the 2p coin carried the reverse design of a crown plume of ostrich feathers taken from the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales. This elegant design remained in use for nearly 40 years, representing continuity and heritage. But in 2008, everything changed. The United Kingdom unveiled a completely new reverse design, a bold, modern artistic move featuring segments of the royal shield across all circulating coins. When placed together, the coins formed the full shield, turning everyday pocket change into a national puzzle. The 2011 2p was part of this renewed artistic vision. Its reverse displayed the lower left section of the shield, defined by subtle curves and precise, textured lines. Although the design was simple at first glance, close inspection reveals fine detailing, perfectly sharp lines, and expertly defined edges, features that distinguish an exceptional mint strike from an ordinary one. For collectors, especially those who seek near-perfect specimens, these micro-details become the lifeblood of rarity. A coin with flawless surface quality, centered strike, and untouched luster can leap from pocket change to museum-worthy treasure. The move from copper bronze to copper-plated steel in 1992 also gives the 2011 coin an additional layer of intrigue. The steel core beneath its copper outer layer subtly changes the coin's feel and sound. When dropped lightly on a wooden surface, it produces a sharp, higher-pitched ring rather than the softer tone of earlier bronze coins. For experts and longtime collectors, this difference is immediately noticeable. But more importantly, the shift in metal created new challenges for the Royal Mint during production. Steel-based coins required refined minting pressure, plating consistency, and die durability. Small inconsistencies could appear without compromising circulation usability, but they became significant to collectors seeking rarity. As HD Ultra Rare Coins frequently highlights, the story of a rare coin is often found in the details hidden behind the scenes in the minting process. In 2011, the Royal Mint produced millions of 2p coins, but only a tiny fraction reached the highest possible standard of quality. Even fewer survived without scratches, marks, or contact damage from circulation. But the greatest surprise came when numismatists discovered a limited batch of flawless, mirror-like 2011 2p coins showing an unusual sharpness on both obverse and reverse. These coins possess the kind of pristine detail normally reserved for specially struck specimens. Though officially categorized as circulating coins, their quality suggested a different origin, possibly prepared with fresh dyes, or struck early in the production cycle when pressure and polish were at their peak. Collectors began to hunt for these superior specimens, and the market responded quickly. Grading services, particularly those renowned for precision, such as PCGS and NGC, saw submissions of 2011 2-pence coins rise significantly. Most came back with modest grades, MS63, MS64, sometimes MS65. But a handful stunned graders. A few earned MS67, and an extremely rare, almost mythical few reached MS68 or higher. At that level, the coin is no longer a casual find. It becomes a once-in-a-generation masterpiece, a flawless survivor that defied the harsh realities of minting and circulation. Each time a coin reached an extraordinary grade, it attracted international attention. Collectors from the United States, the Middle East, Asia, and Europe entered bidding wars, eager to possess a perfect modern rarity. The global collecting community, energized by social media and digital auction houses, helped push the 2011 2-pence into the spotlight. Even casual viewers began to ask, how could a simple 2p coin be worth thousands, then tens of thousands, then hundreds of thousands? The answer lies not only in rarity but in narrative. A coin becomes valuable not just because it is rare, but because it carries a story that people want to preserve. And the 2011 2-pence carries many stories at once. It carries the story of a nation in transition, a monarchy both ancient and ever-evolving, a new era in artistic coin design, and the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II in one of her final decades on circulating currency. It also carries the story of minting perfection, something that emerges only when chance, craftsmanship, and patience align. Imagine for a moment the journey of one such rare 2011 2-pence. It begins in the Royal Mint, struck with extraordinary sharpness, perhaps during the first days of die use. It falls gently into a batch destined for sealed storage, avoiding the harsh bumps and scrapes suffered by most coins. It rests untouched until an astute collector or a Royal Mint pack technician notices its unusual brilliance and sets it aside for a blister pack or a coin set. Years later, it finds its way into the hands of a collector who recognizes something remarkable, something worth preserving. It is sent for grading, receives an unprecedented score, and becomes one of the highest-rated 2011 2-pence coins in existence. Once a coin enters this realm of numismatic legend, its value is no longer tied to its face value or its metal content. Its value becomes emotional, historical, artistic, and symbolic. And when such a coin appears at auction, even the world's most seasoned collectors feel a spark of excitement. And as the world of coin collecting continues to evolve, one thing remains certain: hidden treasures still lie in ordinary change. All it takes is curiosity, knowledge, and the passion shared by collectors around the world. Through HD ultra-rare coins, the story of these treasures reaches thousands, inspiring new generations to keep searching, keep learning, and keep believing that the next great discovery may be closer than they think.